Am I the idiot for yelling at my sister for cheating on a school quiz and causing tension in our living situation? I, M26, live with my fiancé, F25, in a home owned by my mom, and my sister, F18, also lives with us due to its proximity to her school. Recently, my sister admitted to us that she had cheated on a school quiz by using a chatbot called ChatGPT. We tried to explain to her that cheating is not acceptable, especially for someone with a medical major. My sister then told me to call our parents to verify that they were okay with her cheating. I did call them, and my mom scolded her for it. After that, my sister stopped talking to us for 3 days and would slam doors, sometimes not coming home until late. This behavior made my fiancé and me anxious, and we were concerned enough to consider calling the police to check on her. One day, I couldn't take it anymore and yelled at my sister for her behavior. I know I shouldn't have done it, and I feel bad for making her cry. She said she was just trying to study for finals, but I knew that was a lie because this is not how she has acted previously when studying for big tests. Now my sister is packing her things and leaving, and I'm feeling guilty for my outburst. My fiancé thinks that it was wrong for me to yell at my sister, but it was important to address the situation. When trying to apologize, my sister just said you're good and tried to act like it was nothing, but I can tell by her response that this is not how she really feels. TLDR, my sister cheated on a school quiz using a chatbot, and after I confronted her about it, she stopped talking to me and my fiancé for 3 days. She slammed doors and exhibited erratic behavior that made us anxious. One day, I lost my temper and yelled at her for her behavior, and now she's packing her things and leaving. Comment 1. Only to answer, she was acting very differently from how she normally acts. Like going straight to her room when getting home and not coming out for food until we were in bed. Our family has recently had tragedies where a close family friend around her age died from a long night out. At the time, I was just trying to check that she was okay, and she was very hostile on the phone saying that it must be about the cheating again when I just wanted to know if she was safe or not. Comment 2. That's called being pissed off. That's when you leave someone alone. You never been so upset that you just didn't want to deal with people for a bit, so you hide in your room. Now for the next story. Am I the idiot for asking my teacher something and in doing so adding to the noise in the classroom and making it more difficult for someone else to cheat? Very much needed context as I can't properly name the post. We were having a math class today and a pretty difficult test. I wasn't prepared enough, so I finished early and decided to try and redo it another time. And in the meantime, I figured I would ask about the other test I've recently wrote as I wondered about the grade and where should I improve. I got up 2 times, first to ask about the test in general and second to ask about my points as I had hoped for a better grade. As I said, the class was writing a test, but if I tried to ask about my one later, I would have a bit of a problem, as I don't know in which classroom or even on which floor would the teacher be, so we both tried to speak as quietly as possible and I learned everything I wanted in about 5 minutes. The lesson ended, people were walking out, and on my way I heard someone behind me talk how much of an idiot I am. And after some shenanigans and anger, I learned that the reason why I am an idiot is that since I talked with the teacher, I added to the general noise in the classroom. Wasn't the only noise, but I can agree it was noticeable even though I tried to be as quiet as possible. And because of the fact that when I talked the teacher looked in the general direction or directly at 2 other people, and since she looked there they couldn't cheat on the test. I wound up arguing with these people and I can agree that it generated noise, but as I said I wasn't the only one. And I won't agree to be called an idiot and that it's my fault they couldn't cheat. They supposedly tried to signal me they were, but I never noticed it. According to them I shouldn't have got up at all since I guess their inconvenience is more important than mine and I talked too long. I want to know if I'm misjudging the situation and if I am really the idiot here. I also apologize for any grammatical or other errors here. English is not my first language, so sometimes I skip up and this is the first time I'm making a post like this. Comment 1. Sort of YTA. I have a strict rule that I will not have a conversation while there are still students taking the test. Granted, the teacher should have shut it down, but neither of your questions had to be answered immediately, and you were disruptive. You say you didn't know where the teacher would be after your class, but doesn't she have a mailbox in which you could leave a note, or an email address? Sorry, but this reeks of selfishness. Comment 2. I could have gone to her another time. But it would be more of an inconvenience for her, as it would either be during the break where she wants her me time or on a normal lesson, which would stop the rest of the class from doing anything. And I also needed to know it as soon as possible, as I want to prepare for the next time. And even then, at the time, no one really told me that was a problem. I learned of it accidentally. Sure, I heard from my friend the others tried to signal me that, yo, we can't cheat, but I didn't pay attention to them or the rest of the class, focusing on talking as fast as possible, and they never made any noise. Now for the next story. Am I the idiot for telling my professor that my classmate cheated? Today was the first day of my sociology class where we had a test. I 19F, have studied really hard this past week and was fairly confident for the test today. The material is interesting to me and I was ready to ace the test. The classroom is built so we all have our own desk and we are in rows. I sit behind a girl, Jennifer, who I believe is also my age. And diagonal to me, and next to Jennifer, is Elizabeth. Now the professor hands out the tests, 40 questions, 30 of which are multiple choice and 10 are written answers. I was going through the multiple choice section when I saw Jennifer take out her phone. I glared over to her and saw that she was using Google. I was angry since I had studied so hard for this test and she was just getting answers from the internet. I'm surprised the professor didn't notice. I debated telling her, but I didn't want it to cause a disturbance. I'm assuming that Google couldn't provide all the answers, because I saw Jennifer looking over to Elizabeth, and Elizabeth was showing the number on her hands and then an ASL letter of AD. Again, I got really mad, but decided to stay quiet. After the class, I went up to the professor and told her about Jennifer and Elizabeth's cheating. She thanked me for telling her and said she would resolve the issue. I have yet to find out what will happen to them, but I doubt I'll hear anything since it will probably be kept confidential. I do feel a bit guilty, but I also know I was morally in the right, but just checking. Comment 1. Usually grading on a curve means that if everyone in the class gets half right, that becomes a higher score. As such, the more that get high scores, the higher everyone else has to be to get a higher score. I've always thought it was dumb and shouldn't exist. If there are 50 questions and 2 points each, if everyone only gets 25 right, it's still a 50. It doesn't magically become 100. Comment 2. Okay, what? We cannot do that here. I decide which task gets how many points, and that's it. If too many students get good grades, either I messed up the difficulty scaling, which is a me problem, or they studied and understood what they were supposed to learn, which is the opposite of a problem. The only time where I would retroactively change the points of a task is when most of the class do very poorly in one specific assignment. Then I will allot less points for that and do more lessons on it if possible. But not if they did well. Why would anyone do this? Now for the next story. Am I the idiot for asking to have dinner with my father and him to not bring his new wife, old affair partner? So I, 20F, have a bit of a strained relationship with my father, 63M. He cheated on my mom with his current wife and left once my mom found out. Now the issue is that I am always uncomfortable around his new wife. I am polite to her and nice, but I don't want to be in a room alone with her. I mainly just talk to my father when I visit and don't engage in too deep of conversation when we talk. This wouldn't be a problem if he wasn't always with her. I recently asked if we could get dinner one-on-one or something and he said that's not fair. He said they're a package deal and that she is a part of his life and he's committed to her. He then said that once I became friends with her then we could do one-on-one stuff. I said I'm sorry, I just can't be friends with her, I just can't, I am a horrible liar and people can easily read my face and body language. He got upset and said that I must not love him enough. I told him that isn't true. He then used an example of how if he were to hate my partner, a woman, then people would agree that he obviously doesn't love me if he doesn't accept them. I said that's different, but he said it isn't. I just really want to know, was it an asshole thing to ask? I said I was sorry for suggesting it, but I don't feel like it was wrong to at least ask him of that, even if it was a bit selfish. Update. Okay, so I talked to my dad about how his comment comparing my partner to his wife was completely wrong and he said that wasn't. What a shocker. He then went on to talk about how I am a judgmental person and he never judges anyone for their actions, unless it's murder or child abuse, since you never know what someone is going through. I just told him whatever. I guess I am judgmental, but still it hurt me that he cheated on my mom with his wife and he said that it wasn't cheating. He said the marriage was over and I said, how did you know that? Did you talk to mom about it? He then said he knew it was over because she didn't get him his 401k at his new job, and if you want to spend the rest of your life with someone you do that for them. He said when he asked why she didn't, she said, figure it out yourself, and he took that as the marriage being over? I later found out that's a complete lie and she actually did get him and her both a 401k, so yeah. He then went on and asked me when the last time I saw my mom was since he wanted to compare. I said it was my uncle's, mom's second brother, funeral. He then angrily said, well okay, when did he die then? I broke down crying because I didn't want to think about the day my uncle died. He then just sighed and said okay, doesn't matter, my point is you see your mom more than me and that's not fair. I was so upset, so I just said okay, listen, I can't talk to you as much anymore. He got upset and asked why and I explained everything to him. He just said that I am being judgmental again and am punishing him and hurting him. I said you hurt me when you cheated on my mom. He then said he only hurt me and my mom once and this will hurt him forever. I said that was wrong and I won't be talking to him unless it's a holiday or something important. I haven't talked to him since. Thank you everyone for your comments and advice, and I'm sorry that some of you have dealt with similar/worse situations, but I'm glad to know I'm not alone. Comment 1. Exactly, OP, the best thing you can do is live the best life you can live, and make sure he knows it too. If he gets upset, just tell him our relationship is like a broken coffee cup, now you can try to fix it, but it's not going to be the same. You having an affair has hurt me deeper than you will ever imagine. I tried forgiving you by having dinner alone because you are the person who helped create me, but instead of being a man and owning up to your mistakes, you chose to try and justify your choices. And when that didn't work, you used lies, guilt, and deflection, which is something a child does. You never even tried saying sorry for how you hurt me. Of course, I'm going to judge her for sleeping with a married man. That is something that is unforgivable. This is goodbye. I hope you have a nice life, but no longer will you trample through my peaceful mind. Comment 2. This. Most humans would know their child wouldn't want to spend time with their affair partner. OP's dad wants to force OP into an uncomfortable situation to appease his ego. If the daughter hangs out with them, then what he did wasn't wrong. He wants to play happy family and doesn't care how miserable his child is. OP was right to go very low contact with him. Maybe one day he'll realize what a mistake this was. Until then, OP can focus on his or her own life.